All right, so the next operation is listing some books. And again, these are mostly ones that are pulled out of storage. And, you know, all in all, they owe us nothing. They're pretty much free at this point because we bought and sold so darn many in the past. I don't really remember what I paid for any of these, but they came in lots. You know, basically $1 a piece or less, sometimes 2 or 3, but very rarely. So this is like $2,500 worth of books. And including this Old-Fashioned Girl by Louisa May Alcott, illustrated by Jessie Wilcox Smith, who was a very well-known illustrator at the turn of the 20th century. This book's from 1911. And also we've got this Jerusalem Windows by Marc Chagall with 2 original lithographs. And as we go through, I'll show you what I expect to get out of these things. So I got a pretty exciting lot here, a lot of different categories, so check it out. All right, so this video is as much about what types of books we sell as much as what ones we're selling next. So check these out. This is a book called In Pine Tree Jungles, put out by the Bangor and Aroostook Railroad in Bangor, Maine. And it's a handbook for sportsmen, campers in the Great Maine Woods. I believe this is from copyright 1902. Really kind of neat, you know, illustrated. First time I looked it up, there was one paperback at $185 on eBay, not sold. That's not there now, so maybe it did sell. And there was one at $375 on Bookfinder. I don't remember when this note is from, or probably last year. And just looking at it today, a beat-up one sold for $58 on eBay. I mean, a beat-up paperback one. I'll show you a picture of it. And new reprints are available, so they're still printing this book. And the one at Bookfinder, $375, is still there. So I'm going to go in like the $250 range for this book. That's what I'm going to try. This is a rock climbing guide to a specific area, Connecticut, precisely. And from 1982, 2 sold at $56 and $69 recently. And there's one on eBay right now at $199. And on Bookfinder, they're showing up between $69 and $450. There's 3 or 4 under $100. And then one at like $247 and one at $450. You know, those aren't the ones that are going to sell. So I can start this at $99 because the only other one on eBay is $199. But if you go to Bookfinder, you can get one cheaper. So I'll probably start it off at $99 or $100 and a quarter. And, you know, with the ticket offer is $75. That should sell pretty well. Elephants in Africa, 1938. Very famous elephant hunter. Or maybe he was a scientist. I'm not even sure. Frank Melland. And this one's from 1938. There's one being offered on eBay right now for $193 something. And others at $65 to $200 plus on Bookfinder. So again, this is right in that $100, you know, listed at $100, take $75 for it. So that's the kind of stuff we like to be selling. Very specific subject matter with a track record of selling for good money. Principles of Sanitary Science and the Public Health. This is a 1902 first edition. We can tell that because it shows copyright 1902, set up in electro-typed April 1902. So this is a first edition. You know, it's a very specific subject matter. Someone collecting old medical books is going to want this. And it's got a really nice inscription to another fellow doctor, signed by the author. And here's the information we're finding on it. There's 2 on eBay from 1935. Keep in mind, this is 1902. And they're asking $50 and $175. So we find 2 on Bookfinder, one at $140, one at $225, not signed. So I'm looking at this one in the $250 plus or minus range. Okay, we've got The Call of the Wild by Jack London. This is a first edition, 4th printing. And what we're finding with this little baby is they're asking $200 plus or minus, and it's selling at $100 to $250 recently. This is just what I found today when I was looking. Sometimes it's different, but right now, so I'm going to go for $195 maybe, take an offer of $125. And, you know, we're here to sell these things too. I don't love them that much, so I don't want to be the last guy to sell his. So that's kind of how I'm pricing things to sell. The Domestic Life of Thomas Jefferson. It was written by his niece. This is 1871. You can go back here and see the dates match up on the copyright page, as well as the title page, which is typically a first edition, not all the time, but there's a pretty good chance this is a first edition. Asking 150 to 175 right now, and the last one that sold for 84.50. So again, I can start it at 99 and take 75. I started for 125. I'll still have the cheapest one. I'll just check condition of the other two, and if I have better condition, then that's how I'll price it by that. This might hurt the price a little bit, but from 1871, one that's just scarce, it can hold its value with a little bit of damage. So anyway, so we'll see what we can get with that one, but that's what's happening with that. Along Alaska's Great River, this is from 1898, Frederick Schwatka, who wrote a bunch of travel type books, mountaineering books and stuff. So I didn't see one that sold at 95 this time, because this was obviously more than 90 days old when I made this note. Like I said, some of these books I've had for a very long time, so some of the notes are out of touch with what's happening today. But I did see one that someone's asking $100 for this exact same edition. I'll just show you the kind of the title page and what these some of these old books look like. Again, we've got 1898 and 1898. I believe this was first printed in 1875, but this is a first edition, what they call a first thus, because they added a chapter on the Klondike Goldfield, which was not in the original book because they weren't there yet. They didn't realize they had those gold fields. Here's a very popular Americana item. Report of the exploring expedition to the Rocky Mountains and to Oregon and North California. This is by John Charles Fremont. This is 1845 when this was printed, a government publication, and they're all over the place. So they're asking up to $2,000, and this is an older note. So at the time I saw one that sold for $225. I'm not seeing that now, but I did have to bump up what they're asking, because now I see some they're asking up to $2,000. So this is kind of a sticky one because it calls for 4 maps. I only have 2 of the 4, and 22 plates, which I do have all 22 plates. So when you have books like this that have so many different points, you really have to do a little bit of extra work on them. So a lot of the ones I'm seeing listing on eBay are incomplete. They don't have as many pages as this one does, so they're all over the place as far as what's contained. I'm thinking with what I've gotten here, this is a rebound copy, but it's a really nice rebound job, and it's got everything but the 2 folding maps. It has all the plates, it's got good condition, all the pages, and so I'm thinking I'm in the 400, what I'm seeing, I'm in the 400 plus or minus range with this one. We're looking for pretty specific stuff. This is an encyclopedia of fairies, and it's a good seller. The last 2 that sold for 95 and 125. So this is what a $100 book looks like right there. That is a $100 book. A rare item, a play in 3 acts, Seventh Heaven by Austin Strong. Signed by him. We haven't figured out who Roger Williams is yet, but hopefully, somebody will know and care. This is from 1922. He's a very famous playwright. I mean, there's a little New York Times article in here about his obituary, and he really did quite a bit. So what we're finding right now, none of them on eBay. I mean, there are a bunch of copies, but none of these. And there's 3 on Bookfinder, 160 for an ex-library copy, and then 2 others, one for 200, one for 750, and neither of them signed. So that puts me in the $300 to $500 range for this. I mean, the 750, I doubt it, but if someone's trying to get 160 and 200 for unsigned ones, I should be able to. I can ask in the $300 to $500 range. I can ask anything I want, right? But we'll see what happens. It's rare enough, so I don't mind letting it sit for a little while and see if we can find a bite on it. You got to have a collector, that's all. No collectors, no sales at that price, that's all. Got a couple of children's books coming up next. An Italian Schoolboy's Journey by Edmondo de Amicis. Quite well known. Now I can't find any 1901s, and other early ones seem to be like 50 plus or minus. It's got a nice color plate in it, maybe more, I haven't looked yet. But since it is such a well-known story, and there are lots of different copies out there, I can't find any 1901s, so I'll probably have that in the $50 range. This is not a first edition, but it's 1911 Louise M. Alcott. There's none of these on eBay like this. There's a few on Bookfinder in the 75 to 100 plus range, and I'm calling this rare because none of those ones from 1911, published by Little Brown and Company, none of those are showing illustrations by Jesse Wilcox Smith, who was a very famous children's book illustrator. So I'm going to go in the $250 range with this book just because I can't find another one. This is from 1899. Picturesque Cuba, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and the Philippines. 300 illustrations, American Army and Navy. And the first time I looked this up, I found one. You can see how I modified my ticket here. I had one sold at 70, and now there's another one that sold at 20, but there are none available for sale on eBay, and there's none on Bookfinder. So I still got the only one, so I can just set a price somewhere in that range, maybe a little higher. Maybe I started at 75 or 95 because I have the only one, and obviously people are buying them because two have sold, and there just aren't any out there. So if someone comes looking for one, I'll have it. Always buy these service manuals. This is a Harley Davidson Sportster service manual, 1959 to 1969. I always buy these things, especially Harley. Again, this was an older note. I had 3 at 40, 60, and 115. And now there are some exactly like this one. And this one and other ones are selling in the 40 to 50 range. I buy these all the time. I got a couple more of those to show you. Here's another Harley service manual for XLH models 93 and 94. Selling steady $30 to $50. Here's a John Deere 3000 series tractor service manual. It's not in bad shape for a service manual. I mean, if it was crisp, it hadn't even been used. This has obviously been used, but not really bad. Not real greasy. I didn't see what that was. Something. Anyway, there's something in there. That's not a big deal. So the same exact one just sold for $85. So this is the kind of thing I always keep my eye open for, these old service manuals. Some are much better than others, and Harley and John Deere are a lot better than Ford Escorts and Pintos. Well, actually Pinto might be pretty collectible by now. I don't know. This is Portraits of the American Indian, a collection of 50 commemorative first day covers. Commemorative covers, not first day, but anyway, so there's 50 of them in here. It's a complete set, excellent condition, and there's 2 being offered right now, one at 80 and one at 99, and a partial set of 33 sold for $36. So 80 and 99, those have not sold. So that makes me starting myself at 75, take an offer of 55 or 60. Again, not bad price points to be working in. Here's a big picture book, 100 Suns by Michael Light. And these are pictures of nuclear bomb testing and the people who are doing it, and stuff like this. And this one is selling pretty steady in the 75 to 150 range, and they're asking 100 to 200 plus. So, if there are several of them out there, when I go to list this, I'll take that into consideration, and I'll sell mine for 75 because I'm not in love with these things. I don't have to get 150 because I can find another book that I can sell for $75. It's not like in my collection or anything, so I just want to move them. Most of these things don't owe us anything, so it's good we can just move them. Here's Pan Pipes by Walter Crane. This is a 1883 illustrated music book, and pretty collectible, pretty popular. You can see, let me see where that is. Yeah, so here we have 1883, really nicely illustrated. And what we're finding on this one, oh, where'd my note go? Anyway, I think this is selling in the 50 to 100 range. You may correct me, but I think people are asking, like, you know, up to $150, $200 for it. You'll see I didn't put my note in there, so I lost the note, but I'm pretty sure that's what I remember seeing. So this is probably going to be in the $50 to $100 range for us. Got a copy of Bishop's Birds. These are etchings of waterfowl and upland game birds by Richard E. Bishop. Limited edition, 1936. You know, this page after page, large format of his etchings. And people are asking 124 to 319 for the most part. One is at 68.65 and one sold for 65. So, you know, you can ask anything you want, but you have to be realistic. This is, again, you know, $50 to $75 book for us. And especially when they're larger, I like to sell them because I don't really care to have large books. They're kind of a pain to store. And this one's not in the best of shape cover-wise. You can see it's got some damage and stuff. So I'll sell that one pretty cheap. It should sell. Seems like it's popular. Here's a good one. This one, I know this doesn't owe me anything because I found it in a dumpster. This is the Jerusalem Windows by Marc Chagall. This is from 1962. And when he did this, he made 2 special lithographs just for this book. So these are Marc Chagall lithographs. People are cutting these out of the book and selling them for $50 or $100. Here's the first one, and here's the other one. So the only place you can get these lithographs is from this book. So this is just a book on Marc Chagall's work, 1962. I don't know if it's a limited edition or not, but it's selling pretty good in the 400 plus or minus range. And you can see the last 2 sold at 95 and then offer under 500, but none with the box. When I first looked it up, I was finding them in the 500 plus or minus with the box. And it's got this, it's not much of a box, little slipcase, but it is stamped made in France. So this is the box that came with the book. It's definitely going to add some value. So that's my job. Well, that's going to take me more than one day to do that. The job today was just getting this kind of laid out and get my notes straight so I can show you what kind of books we're dealing with, what we expect to get for them. Hopefully that's an interesting and helpful video. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and you'll know when we put up another video. All right. Thanks so much for your time and watching. Till next one. Bye.